So let's look at the slow curves to begin with, meaning the long curves, biggest radius. Now this letter style is very complicated in that there's no regular pattern. If you remember, a gouge is a part of a circle, an arc of a circle, but these shapes are quite complicated, especially the long ones. So what we're going to do is take something like a flat gouge, a number 3, and set it on the line at that angle, and then nibble it along like this. So each cut is marrying the next, so I haven't got any steps between. I'm going to come along here as far as I can, and at some point I'm going to change for a different gouge, and the same at this end. So this is all the wall. When I'm finished here, what I can do is I can push that like that. I'm going to just score in the root of that letter, and then I can clean that up with my flat gouge. So that's the sort of way I'm going to deal with a long curves. Now when it comes to a tighter curve like this, what I'd like to be able to do is pick a gouge that fits it. For example, this gouge is too tight, but perhaps this gouge here will fit that curve there. So when I have this tool, I can push that in there and follow it around like this. Okay, so that's following that round. That gives me that curve, and what would be good is me to use that wherever I can find perhaps a shape that's that shape around the letter. So I might go around the whole carving looking for shapes where this curve will fit. For example, it will fit in here. So I've set in here like this, and before I carry on, I'm just going to pull out, if I can find it, back to this flat gouge, pull that down there like that. So I've got a set in line all the way around. There's no steps, and then I'm going to have to get my bent gouges, and this is where they come into the round, into here. To clean that up. And in here. Now I can go so far into that corner there with this tool, and then I need to swap to one of these, like a little skew chisel, and push that in there like that. Now whether or not I need the left or the right one depends on how the grain's going and everything, but that will come around here like this. And before I leave that, I want to make sure that's nicked off neatly. So make sure as we leave it, we've got a nice junction. I might also just push that down there, stab that in. Oops. This one here, pull that out there, like that. So what we're saying now is we've come around here, and this is now finished. But keep checking it. We'll change the light, make sure that we've got this background nice and flat, and that all these walls are the same height. So we'll do the long curves first, and then we'll start merging them into these other tighter sweeps here. Now I'm trying to find a tool that will fit that shape better. Here's one. So I'm going to merge that around like this. So now we're at the top, and this is a tricky bit here. So finding a tool that will come around that edge. Let's say this one will do it. And what's going to happen here is that the wall coming down in this direction, this way, and this cut going this direction are going to meet above the background because it's so close. So we're going to just let that be what it'll be. But I will stab this in a little bit more on here. And the same just there. So then back to the skews. You can hear how brittle this wood is. Let's have a look at some of this rather intricate inside fields here. So I've come around the outside and I can take some of this off like so. This groove that I put in here with my V-tool, what that does, it allows the wood to fall away. So it's taken away some of the pressure. So when I set in here, for example, the wood will fall into that middle section. So it's quite a good idea to do that rather than just leaving that paper untouched. So pick around there. Okay, I can get to that with some of this to begin with. Okay, so this bit in the middle, what I need to do is get a deep gouge like this. This is a number 11, but it could be a number 10. Set that in here. Pick up that edge with this cut round here. And one thing I can do is I can come in like this, and I can cut down there, and what I'm going to try and do is stab into the background so that as I come in with my floor, my background, I'm actually able to come up to it. And on this side too, as I come round, everything at an angle still, I can come this way a little bit and pull that out. So what I'm left with is a little ridge down the middle, but the edges of the ridge are to the background, and then it's a matter of coming in with your, this is a very narrow one, look, but I could probably get away, I'll just do it, get away with a straight gouge in here, around here, pull this bit out, and if I've severed the fibres down to the background, then that should should come out fairly readily. Then just check that edge. That's pretty good. Take that out. So let me do that again over here. So I'm going to sneak up on it by coming round the edge. So I've come round here, set in over there, setting it in here. Like that. Then again, I've got a groove down the middle, something to take away some of the pressure. Pick a gouge. I think this one will probably do that one as well. So set that in, and you can see how the fibres are pulling over into that groove. Come round, join this up with that. So this is down to the background, and on this side. And now this one's a little bit tight, so I think I can go back to my number 9 I used earlier on. That's coming down, so I've got a score right down to the background. I could just take that off like that. So we've got this ridge down the middle, and we follow through with our gouge. Clean that up. So the sense we're after, as I say, is for this background here to look as if it's running through, more or less, and to keep it fairly tidy as we go along. Let's get that right in there. And that's it. So I'm going to work my way around all the letters at a time, try to keep an eye on the background depth. There'll be this little scoring in the background there, cleaning up as I go along, and I'm going to gradually work all the way over these letters. And the wall, as I say, about 10 degrees, more or less 15 degrees is okay, so you get this little reflection of light. I've gone round these letters to the background. What about this little space in here? It's a tricky one because it does involve quite small tools, but the first thing I would do is I would put a stop cut in there to protect the grain, and another one just there, and that'll stop things splitting out. I can put this one in here at the angle, best I can. Then I'm going to come down here, nibble into there, and let's see how the corner pops out, because I've got that stab cut, and the same here. Now the tricky bit is going to be that corner in this font, because I don't really have the right tool here. You see, that's not quite right. So what I'm going to do is a little bit of a fudge with my very narrow tool here. This is a number 3, but I'm going to sort of swing it round like this, and we're going to cut the tip where that edge where it meets, and swing it around here. So I've got a bit of a curve at the top, but it comes down into a junction there. So here I am now all the way inside, and then it's a matter of cleaning that up, and it'll be one of these little narrow short bent tools coming in like this, and that way as well. So that's the sort of idea. I think an important point I just want to give you here is that just to do it here, if you stab in this way like this, and you go below if that's the background surface, and you've actually stabbed in, then you can come in and pop off the wood this way. So we want to make sure that as we stab in, that we've actually cut down to the background, and then this wood will come away quite easily. So once you've done, once you've got a hang of these, you just work your way around the whole thing, little by little. It's a little bit nibbly, not very satisfying carving, and yet it's coming on very nicely. I think it's going to work out well in the end. So we'll just carry on working bit by bit. Here's the finished carving. If I was to critique it, I can see the background is a little bit deeper in parts, but overall it looks as if I have a flat background running through and the letters are placed on top. A little bit chewed up where it's been tricky to get in, but this is all, this is all fine. The important thing I would say though is we have to look very carefully at two lines. This line here, where the surface of the wood meets the top of the wall, and then the bottom line where the bottom of the wall meets the background. So there are these two lines following around, and those are what you really need to pay attention to. Make sure that your junctions, which might be a little bit stabbed, are tidy, and that this edge is tidy. So one thing you could do is you could take a frosting tool and you can stipple the background. I'm not going to do that, but I will put details of where else on the site we have frosting tools and using them below this video. So all that remains for me to do is to remove this paper. Now I used ordinary label paper, so I printed it out on a sticky label, which has actually proved good enough for me to just pick off. So I can just work my way around and pick this off like this. So I'll pick off all the letters, and then I will check this edge now with my tools to make sure that is tidy, because the paper can sometimes confuse it. And then I'll put a sanding block over it with a fine paper, something like at least 180, 240, and I'll just clean off the lines and so on. Just clean that over, and then that'll be finished.